What is this?
I was gonna play some Miyazaki music in the background. Can you hear that?
Yes.
Like the piano stuff? Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, great. So we've got our Miyazaki soundtrack music in the background. I'm munching on some Pocky right now. Yeah, Dara's in the other room trying to stay warm. It's actually freezing cold in our apartment right now. I've got... Yeah, actually, Paul, you'll get a kick to this. I'm wearing our under 17 green jacket that's like 5 sizes too big.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, it's super good.
It's the worst.
Man, what was
See,
Dwight thinking when he got all these? Doesn't make any sense. He was just like, I'm gonna have...
that was just like... That was what everyone did, though. I remember we got purple ones the year before.
And you guys got the huge ones that year too? It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, yeah. When he ordered the sizes, I don't know what he was thinking.
He's just like, hopefully I'll have a team full of 7-footers. Like, if you think it will come true. That's the only thing I can think of. He just like wanted to use like positive energy to like get a bigger basketball team.
It's just like what you put out into the universe, you will receive.
He thought it was cool because that was like the baggy thing. I don't know.
Well, there's baggy, and then there's like, you know, an extra foot of leg on your pants. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think there was like a lot of the stuff was double XL, and that made no sense at all.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're having a really meaningful conversation with this music in the background.
I feel like it definitely adds something to it. I don't know if you guys can control the volume individually either, but
Oh, I did. I turned it down already.
It's quite loud for me, but I haven't tried. Yeah, I guess I can. Yeah, it definitely sounds like I feel like I want to make phone calls like this all the time with music.
So you just have like
going
really
this.
nice conversations. Just set
Man.
the mood, add some gravitas to your
I have-
conversation.
This coworker that was like, I fear for his mental health because he's like really stressed out all the time, and he's a really nice guy, but he like plays calming piano music in his office, and sometimes I'll like give him a call at work, and I can hear it in the background. I'm just like, "Oh, you're listening to your music?" And he's like, "Yeah, it calms me."
Oh my God.
He just like plays it ambiently while he works, and he's like, "Yeah."
I can get behind
But
that. That
he's-
sounds like a good idea. I would enjoy that.
Oh,
I think.
I'm sure like his therapist recommended it because of his spaz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's dig in here a little bit then. Yeah. So we've got myself, Colin, and of course Paul again is here, and also joining us this time is Dara, and we are going to talk a little bit about the movie Spirited Away. So welcome everyone.
Hey.
So
Hey,
how are people feeling? I guess
hey.
yeah, I kind of want to get like we just finished watching it minutes ago after
Yeah, I think we finished watching the movie within 3 minutes of each other.
yeah, pretty close.
I was on the final scene, like when you texted me, I was on the final scene of the movie.
Right. Yeah, great. That worked out really well then.
Yeah.
So man, just like emotionally or whatever, like don't have to like get into like how or any like critique of the movie or anything, but like at the end of that movie, how did you feel, Paul?
I felt, it was pretty, I thought it was like a pretty good feeling, like it's pretty fulfilling to kind of see it come full circle, and at the end of the movie, I wasn't sure how I felt in terms of understanding the movie.
Right.
Kind of want to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
I haven't had time to like mull it over.
Yeah, we'll get into it. I feel like I could go like scene by scene for this movie. I care quite a bit about.
We can do that.
Yeah,
and
Colin
maybe
took
my
notes during this movie.
let's get into it. Dara, how about you? Like, what's your feeling? I know you were kind of like researching a little bit while you were watching it. Kind of, this is like your 20th time seeing it or something crazy like that. So
Yeah, I have all of the Miyazaki movies on DVD and on my bookshelf. So
Crap.
this is
Did you guys
not my
actually
first
go old
rodeo.
school and watch this on DVD?
Yeah. Well, this
No.
movie's been out since 2001, so.
Actually, we used the same torrent that
Ah.
I sent to you with and we watched it with the English audio, which I'm assuming you did as well, Paul.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
And yeah, like I said,
You
there's-
recommended that, so
yeah, and I think that was the right choice for sure. It's a little bit easier the first time through. Like it's a little bit out there in terms of story, so it's easy to miss stuff. And even if the English voice acting leaves a little bit to be desired, you're probably better off just listening to it rather than trying to like.
well,
read
it's really
everything to-
visual too,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So it's you would miss. Yeah, I think I would probably feel like I'd want to rewind and watch certain parts if I'd been like too focused reading. Although in other parts of the movie, there's like long periods where there's no dialogue at all, which is kind of cool.
Right. Yeah, very cinematic feel to it.
For sure, this is a movie that you just want to sit back and take in at some point.
That's what I really like, and actually I find at the beginning of the movie, or it's front loaded in terms of all the stuff I like. Like even just looking at my notes here, I was trying to just write down the stuff that I really enjoy about it, and things that where every time I see it, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's sweet. I really love how they do this, and most of it is in the first hour, if not first 45 minutes of the movie. As it kind of tries to unravel itself, maybe in the second half of the movie, I start to lose focus a little bit or lose interest a little bit more. Although it's still great, but what do you think about that, Dara? Where are your favorite parts in terms of being able to?
Oh, I don't know. I think when she gets really ingrained in that world is where it starts picking up for me.
Oh yeah.
Where she gets to like sort of prove herself, and we get all those montages of her doing stuff.
Okay, so Paul, I'm gonna put you on the spot here for a synopsis in a second. So like, just first time through, you hadn't even heard of this movie before. I just kind of told you about it earlier this week, and I told you how much I liked it, and that it's kind of critically acclaimed. And you watched it for the first time tonight. Can you give us like just a short synopsis of what this movie's all about?
Yeah, sure. So Shihiro, who's this like 12-year-old girl or something, is moving to this new city with her family, and they come across this dirt road and end up walking down this path into this like what they think is an old amusement park. And once they get there, I guess Shihiro's very like apprehensive about going in and exploring it. She's kind of scared because of, I guess, some spirits that she may believe in, and then it kind of goes into this dream world where you're not sure if it's real or if it's her imagination. And from there, I mean, yeah, it gets crazier and crazier. Her parents start eating and turn into pigs, and she meets this kind of man or boy named Haku, who seems to try to look after her a little bit and save her from these like spirits that may or may not be dangerous. She gets a job so that she can hopefully save her parents, and her job is to help in the bathhouse that is kind of like the major business that is in this dream world. And the bathhouse is run by a woman named Yubaba, who's a witch. And I guess these spirits come in and like go to the bathhouse, and they make money off that. And yeah, I mean, there's just so many interesting characters in the film. And I mean, I guess the story really unravels in kind of like a really weird way. Like watching it for the first time, I had no idea where it was going, or like, yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll get into more detail in a second here, but yeah, that's about right, exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. Like, she's just kind of find herself in this dream world and sort of is forced to grow up a little bit, because she starts out like as quite a fraidy cat, right? Like driving in there, she's hanging on to her mom's arm, and she tells her to not hang on so tight because she's dragging her down, kind of thing.
It's a good point. I found that main character pretty annoying in the first part of the movie.
Right, just such a huge baby.
But towards the end of it, I yeah, you could definitely tell she grew up a little bit.
For sure. And like standing up to Yubaba at the end, like she's like, yeah, it's okay, I can handle it. And even like, and she stands up to a number of different people in the movie, like just I guess
Yeah.
the first time probably is with the boiler guy Kumaji at the beginning, where she has to like speak to this guy and ask for a job, and that's like really hard for her. But let's
Yeah, we can get to all of those.
okay, man. So first thing I want to talk about is the food in this movie.
How hungry were you during this movie?
Did you find the food looks super delicious like I did? Like I just want to eat all that stuff.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky in that I had started eating supper right as the movie started.
Very smart.
So when they were like, "Oh, that food smells so good," and then they started picking out, I was just like, "Yeah, I'm right on board for that."
Yeah, and I think it's really cool, and it's not something I noticed the first time through, but on watches since then, the food, it's like alien food. Like it's not real food. Like they have like a fish that looks like a ham, and this like onion that has legs on it and stuff. Like there's all this weird things that, they look like it's as if, aliens were trying to imitate what yummy food looks like, and they were putting it on this platter for those parents to eat, kind of thing.
Yeah, it was weird looking food, but it definitely didn't like turn me off food.
Yeah, it
I
still
was like,
looks
"Yeah,
super
it's
good,
great."
right? And that's really where kind of like the dream logic starts to take hold, because it's right after that. So they kind of get like trapped in, and the parents eating this food, and it's as if like their whole lives are now devoted to just eating this food, and they don't care about anything, including where Chihiro's going. And she kind of wanders off and makes it up to get her first glimpse of the bathhouse. And then all of a sudden, it's like nighttime, and Haku comes out of nowhere, and it's just like, you can't be here. You have to get out of here before the lights turn on. And then the lights start turning on, and he's like, I'll try and slow them down. And then all of a sudden, she just has to like escape as the lights are turning off. And I find that just such like a dream problem where, it's something that I would encounter while I'm asleep, where I'm just like having a good time, and then all of a sudden some arbitrary constraint is placed on me, and I have to, make it out before the lights turn on or something.
I really liked the art in that scene. Like I rewatched it specifically because of the way you could see like the sun setting very suddenly and the shadows falling more horizontal
Right.
in like the course of a few seconds.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah, it's quite beautiful too. And even, like visually, one of my favorite parts is when she's finally, like, she's running back, she sees her parents have become these like pig things with, human clothes on at this point, and then she continues on, and she gets to the bank, and like that little tiny river that they had crossed, that was mostly boulders when they were crossing it during the day, has now become this like vast river that's a kilometer or more wide, and you need like, she can see the sort of train station / entrance all lit up in the distance, and this like enormous ferry crossing it, and it's just so exaggerated.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of love that too. It's like this like thing that wasn't a problem 3 seconds ago is now insurmountable, and then those beautiful invisible ghosts come off of it, and that's wonderful.
Yeah, I didn't really understand those ghosts. They were constantly kind of in the background and stuff. I wasn't sure what they were.
Right. Yeah, they were.
Were they spirits?
Yeah. So it's the bathhouse like services these spirits that only come at night, I guess, and and like no one in the bathhouse is human apparently, although there's these like humanoid things, they wash the spirits during the nighttime. Which, what a great job.
So what about the character that was like kind of Chihiro's like mentor, or like Chihiro's kind of her apprentice? I think it was Lin.
Yeah. Lin was definitely, so everyone, it's very confusing. Everyone looks humanoid, but they're not humans at all.
For some reason.
Aren't they? Okay.
Yeah. Like I kind of
I thought maybe she was like a lost human.
Yeah, I like to think that too, that Lin used to be sort of the same kind of thing that Chihiro is, where she was a human and then she came in and she got a job, and now she kind of like grew up and is an adult in this world. but is like no longer human because she's been working here for so long. Or if you like sign up for a job in this bathhouse, you give up your humanity, just like you give up your name.
Your name.
But who knows?
Yeah, and that's kind of the feeling I got. I don't know if it like goes any deeper with the writing, if there was some vision for that, but she was definitely the most human-looking character, like noticeably more than any of the other human-looking characters.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're all kind of, or the other humanoid characters that work in the bathhouse, they're all sort of human, but they're also kind of like amphibians or frogs or something like that. Like they've got, even the ones that look the most human usually have like nostrils on their forehead, kind of thing, like a frog would, or some sort of amphibian. And even like No Face, when he was like really huge and had, you know, eaten the most and hadn't started to diminish, he like looks like this frog-like thing.
Toad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered if that was because he like ate the frog and he immediately grew frog legs.
Maybe.
That could be true.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if he was taking on the traits of whoever he like ate.
Mm-hmm.
But the other people he ate were just like of normal servants. But he ate the frog first and he immediately had frog legs.
Right. Yeah, he had frog legs. And he could use his voice too. And as he ate more people, he could use their voices as well. It might just have been because he ate the frog that he kind of grew into the frog. But there seems to be a lot of frog shapes going on in the bathhouse,
Yeah.
which I don't really understand.
Which is just like your prototypical bathhouse staff, which are just frogs. And then
yeah,
the majority of the patrons in the background, too, I always felt like were these chicken spirits.
Right.
These little, like, baby chicks, but were enormously sized.
Yeah, I like the chicken spirits. And then, of course, the Radish spirit is an all-star.
Oh, yeah, Radish is so good. He really blossoms in that elevator scene where he, like, ends up helping her get to Yubaba's floor.
Yeah. He seems like just like a brainless
So for the
radish. And then he like, you kind of like get the sense that he actually is rooting for Chihiro by the end of that scene. In my notes, I wrote down Radish spirit, ! Brainless stalker with a heart of gold.
So for the audience, the Radish spirit is just like a really tall, really wide, kind of like obese-looking white spirit, I guess, with a red hat that just like
And an
has
apron.
kind of like a blob shape. Does he have an apron?
Yeah, he's got a huge red apron too, and his
Yeah,
hat.
everyone's gotta have an apron, yo. There's no genitalia in this movie. There's no spirit genitalia.
But yeah, you do get the sense that at first it seems like they're kind of scared of him, but then he seems kind of cool and like helps her out a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of that where people just kind of grow on, or come to see Chihiro as this friend. And speaking of aprons, the giant baby with an apron. Such a ridiculous outfit for a baby.
Yeah.
It's just what you wear. Their underclothes are like aprons.
That's true too. Even Lin and Chihiro when they're in their uniforms. Yeah, even like Yubaba, like she's humanoid, but her head is the size of Chihiro. And her hands are like the size of Chihiro's chest. Like she's not actually
She's like
human.
a caricature.
Yeah.
She's just oversized in every way.
Her nose is like like a foot long.
Yeah.
There's a scene where she gets like really close to Chihiro and her nose like extends past her shoulder, past Chihiro's shoulder, like it's like sticking out. It's just super big and weird.
Yeah. And
there's a lot of close-ups of that nose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How wrinkly and gross it is. And then it's so funny how like she's kind of the antagonist, but her like twin sister is just nothing but goodness. Except I guess she kills or she's trying to kill Haku for some reason, which is kind of
Zaniba?
Yeah.
Yeah, she really wanted her gold seal back in the first meeting with her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She seemed even more evil than Yubaba the first time, but then you learn that she's just like this sweet old lady.
Right, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of does a 180 when Haku like kills her apparition, and then they make their way to her place, and she's like, "Oh, you came to visit me. That's nice."
I mean, you get the sense from Kamaji, the guy with 6 arms.
Yeah.
You get the sense from him that like going to see her might not be the worst idea, but it's also like kind of ill-advised.
I wonder if it's less that Zeniba was trying to kill Haku rather than it's just like Haku got caught in this like feud between sisters where like Haku was a pawn of Yubaba's and he like stole something like really important to Zeniba. And she was like, well, now I have to kill you, but it's nothing personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah. I feel like if you were a really good person and your like twin sister was a really horrible person, you'd have to be like a little bit horrible to them sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, when they're trying to steal all your shit. I really like the rainstorm that happens partway through too. That just like literally
this transformative rainstorm.
Yeah, it floods the world, and now like the train tracks are just underwater, and the bathhouse has become an island along with like the farms that supply it. And
yeah,
it's very cleansing.
Yeah, there's this. You should send this.
Yeah, it really changes the setting.
Yeah, I know everyone's just like, yeah, that's normal. That happens all the time. Like Chihiro's a little bit surprised, and then Lynn's just like, "What did you expect? It rained a whole bunch." And also, like having her name be the thing that controls her, and like signing her name on this contract is like having her is like giving her name away, and now she doesn't have it, kind of thing. I liked that.
Yeah, it's super good. So Sen means 1,000. So she just like becomes this faceless worker.
And how
so should we go through some kind of chronology of the movie, like scene by scene?
Well, I think we've gotten pretty far. So we did like we got her. She got into the amusement park with her family, and then she kind of gets separated from them when they're stuffing their faces. And then we kind of went through how she gets sort of trapped in this world where like at night falls and it becomes the spirit world, and the spirits are arriving at the bathhouse, and she needs to get a job there, or she'll be, she'll literally disappear from this world. Like, and Haku's like, you must eat this because if you don't eat something from this world, you'll disappear. I thought that I really liked that too. That's very,
like she would just die.
Yeah, it's very like dream logic too. Like she's found herself. She thinks it's a dream. She's like, I'm dreaming, but it's like real to her at that point. And the only way to avoid it is this like random criteria where she has to eat food from this from this world.
I have a hypothesis about that.
Oh, let's hear it.
Kind of a metaphor thing I get to later, more at the end of the podcast.
Okay.
So we'll keep that on the back burner.
All right, sure. So then, so then she meets Haku, and Haku kind of like takes her under his wing and is gonna protect her, and sends her to Kamaji in the bathhouse to try and get a job. And Kamaji,
it also sort of raises this like, oh, why does Haku have this special relationship with Chihiro? It keeps this audience a little bit suspenseful.
Yeah, he's a mystery for sure. So then, I guess she meets up with Lynn, who's an employee of the bathhouse, and she kind of escorts Chihiro up to Yubaba at the very top of the bathhouse, who is the ruler of this kingdom, and has taken an oath that she must give someone a job if they ask for it, which is kind of silly and arbitrary and very, dream logic, and I enjoy that as well. And so Chihiro makes it to the top with the help of the radish spirit, and gets in to see Yubaba and immediately asks her for a job, and they kind of have a little bit of a confrontation, and she has to is forced to give Chihiro a job, but she gets her to sign a contract with her name, and then steals her name and gives her the name Sen. And then I guess she's like working in the bathhouse for a while. Paul, do you remember what happens in like the bathhouse, or can you like take it from there for a bit?
Why don't you start it off?
Okay, so she starts. So she gets like given clothes, I guess, and is like assigned to Lynn as like a guidance, and then they kind of like go in to the bathhouse and start working.
Yeah, so I guess this is the first scene where they're cleaning that like really scrungy bath.
That's right. Yeah.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought this was an interesting scene because you're not really sure what to expect, and they're just kind of like, yeah, this is like the dirtiest bath in the bathhouse, and you have to clean it.
Mhm.
So Lynn and Chihiro get charged with cleaning this dirty bath, and Lynn sends Chihiro off to go get a bath token or a soap token, I think
Yeah.
they call it, something like that. And so she goes over to like the foreman to receive this token, and he's like, "No, I won't give it to you. You're not like respected enough
Right.
as a worker here, pretty much." And so, as she's trying to convince this guy to give him the token so that she can like do her job, No Face shows up, who's this like kind of black spirit that wears a white mask that you're not really sure who he is, but he seems to be kind of following Chihiro around.
Yeah.
And he just kind of like, in his like little wispy invisible way, kind of grabs one and hands it to her, and then like she gets away with it and goes back, and anyway they get the bath ready, soaped up, cleaned up
Uh-huh.
for this like guest that is like approaching, and everyone seems to be worried about for some reason. So there's kind of like a bit of anticipation going on. Is this like what they're like? What is this new client we have coming in?
Yeah, the stink spirit.
He's really dirty, and kind of cuts to a scene of this giant blob like,
Sludge
making its way to
monster.
Lynn. So how was that rewatching it?
Oh man, I love the stink monster. It's
Yeah, it's a heartwarming. It turns out to be a real heartwarming scene.
yeah, and
Yeah,
like when she has to accept the money, like Yubaba's there to greet the stink monster, and she's like, "Oh, you're giving us money, like Chihiro, take that for us." And then he like drops
That's
this
so
huge
nice.
blob of poo into her hand, and the stink monster is just like sweating sludge. It's so gross.
Yeah, I love the scene where the stink monster like tips over into the tub, and then immediately turns all of the water into sludge, and he just like kind of reemerges, and then like looks at his like arm appendages, and it's just like it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
yeah,
How satisfying
yeah.
is
That
it,
was really
though,
cool.
when she manages to get the herb token or the bath salt token down to Kamaji, and then she's just like pouring that, clean water on over this stinky monster.
That was such a cool scene because visually it was really neat. You're just seeing this like room fill up with stinky water. But it was also like, I'm thinking to myself, like, what the heck is going on with this movie? All of a sudden they're dedicating like 20 minutes to this weird bath scene
This one bath scene.
for this like stinky blob.
Yeah.
And it's all like really entertaining. Like it definitely, you don't lose your focus, but I'm just like, what's going on?
Right.
Why is this
Yeah.
happening? But it is really satisfying in the end.
Yeah.
And as you kind of see glimpses of this like monster maybe not being what it seems to be, being something else.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, really, this scene is it's super visually and audio satisfying. But it's great foreshadowing for the plot, because you realize at the end you're just like, oh yeah, this guy was like a messed up river god, actually.
Yeah.
Wonder who else is a river god in this movie.
Yeah, those little glimpses of her being like stuck underwater, it's kind of like the foreshadowing you're talking about, I think.
Yeah, and so she unplugs
So the
the thorn in the stink monster's side and releases the ancient river god or whatever.
And
Yeah.
there's like it's a real
and I think this is
Miyazaki loves doing this. It's a real environmental plug too, because it's like this river god that just like couldn't get on with it because of all this garbage that he'd accumulated.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, that's a really good point.
So like
Yeah, it
Chihiro
was
does
like
them
a
like a
dump.
huge
It's like a
favor.
landfill. Yeah, and as they like pull this trash out, just like keeps coming out, and you end up with like a landfill of like dump garbage that just spills out of this river god,
Yeah.
river spirit. I thought this was like a really formative scene for the audience, taking a look at Chihiro in like in maybe a new way, because I think you get to see maybe for the first time really that she kind of has like a capacity to care for people and characters in this movie that like nobody else seems to care about.
Right.
That everyone else like just looks at and like is repulsed or just like has nothing to do with. She like finds a way to help them or care for them in some way.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
She's
and
very genuine and empathetic.
Yeah, and this is like also a really good scene where the tables turn for Chihiro, and she does this fantastic thing and wins the approval of Yubaba and everyone else in the bathhouse.
Yeah, they were kind of shoving that crappy job off on Chihiro, and then it ends up that she kills it and frees the river god, and they get a ton of gold, and it's kind of is amazing for everyone.
Yeah, she like becomes MVP right away.
Yeah. So what's after that? I guess that's when. So that was a rainy night, and no one seems to care except for Chihiro. Oh, and then so the next morning, she wakes up really early, and Haku tells her to meet her by the bridge to go see her parents.
Oh yeah, that was crazy visual, where they get to like travel through the flower gardens before they hit the farm.
Right. Yeah, it's like there's a couple like 3D scenes almost in this movie. Where they kind of leave the typical 2D frame and get a lot of motion into each shot. Dara, why don't you take us through some of the chronology from that point?
Ooh, okay. So she gets to see her parents in the pig farm, and she... Oh, yeah, this scene is also great. So Haku takes her to where her parents are staying as pigs, and she gets to visit them, and it's kind of this tearjerker of an experience where she just like yells a couple words at them and then runs out again because she can't bear to be there. And it's like pretty upsetting for a 10-year-old girl to see her parents that are now pigs. And then Haku like gifts her back her clothes, and she realizes that there's that card from the very beginning of the movie that she got as a going away present in that flower bouquet, and it has her name, and that's like also really key because if you forget your name, that's the way that Yubaba owns you. And so luckily she got her name back, and as she's having this like huge emotional experience, Haku's just like, okay, you need to eat because you need to keep your strength up. And I love it because she just takes like one bite of that rice ball and then just like bursts into these like huge tears where she just ugly cries over eating. And then she realizes...
It's pretty funny how gigantic her teeth.
Yeah. And it's just like this incredibly cathartic moment though, where she cries the biggest tears of all time. And then kind of gets over it and then just grabs fistfuls of rice balls and starts eating.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that
Just
scene
like
too.
cure for any emotional distress.
But also it's pretty. I don't know how true to life that is because it's pretty hard to eat and cry at the same time. I don't know if anyone knows this. But...
That's true. I thought this was a really important scene in terms of just like acknowledging the fact that her parents are pigs.
Yeah.
Like she's like a little girl.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Like, let's not overstate that.
Yeah. Yeah, let's not just like move on with the plot. Like, for a second, let's just acknowledge the fact that her parents have been turned into pigs, and this is really sad.
Yeah, this is really bad for everyone.
Yeah. Good motivation though. That like really gets her going. She's just like, all right, I gotta, pick it up and.
Yeah, soldier on, try and figure out how she's gonna save her parents. Which is a lot of responsibility for a little girl.
Yeah. So then, also in that river god scene, because she did such a good job, he also like gives her this special looking present that we don't know what it's gonna be yet.
Yeah, it's just like a little brown sphere that she can hold in her hand.
Which we assume is like you eat it / is maybe medicine.
Right.
Yeah. How did she figure that out? Like, was she told that it was medicine? Because she just seemed to know. Maybe I missed something.
No, I think she just there's a scene where she just tries to eat a little bit of it, and she's like, "This tastes super gross. It must be medicine." Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
When she's like sitting on the balcony with Lynn.
I think that's pretty much
over.
it. Yeah, she's
I think that's it.
It tastes so bad, it must be good for you.
Yeah. I think that's
really good logic. I'll start just tasting things, and if they taste horrible, I'm like, oh, maybe that's medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the river god gave it to her, so it must be good.
Yeah,
must be powerful and full of magic.
Yeah.
Those things combined. I mean, it was like a really good Sherlock moment for her, I think.
Right. So then, okay, so she's back there. Or no, she goes to sleep or something, right? I don't remember exactly what happens.
So it's been a really big day. Okay, so I think the chronology is a little bit messed up, but there are 2 sleep scenes that I also really like there. So after she visits her parents in the pig farm, it's like really early in the morning. So she goes back into the boiler room and just manages to take her shoes off, and then like collapses right next to where like the mat is at Kamaji's table.
Right.
And so there's this really tender scene where he like, as if it's a blanket, puts the pillow on top of her. But it's like she got really close. She was like 2 feet away from that pillow.
And it's just now it's a blanket.
So now it's a blanket. That was great. Yeah, but then after the whole river god scene, they go to sleep, and then No Face just makes his debut, really, where he's just like, oh, people like gold, I get it now. So like, because he keeps trying to befriend Chihiro, and he can't figure out how to do it. He like tried to help her with the bath token, and then he later tried to give her all of those bath tokens because he's like, this is how people like each other, right? And then she just rejects him, so he's really confused. And then he tries to give her gold, and then luckily Frog takes him up on it, and then he's just like, okay, but now I'm gonna eat you. So now we're seeing that like maybe No Face is more of an insidious character than we originally thought.
Right, and he gets them.
Yeah, I mean, he's creepy right from the start. Like, he kind of like he's just creeping, like stalking.
Yeah, I mean, his name is No Face.
Yeah, and even when she's first being like escorted into the bathhouse by Haku, as she's crossing the bridge and like is forced to, or needs to hold her breath to stay invisible for some reason. Like No Face is the only spirit that seems to be able to see her. Like he tracks her as they're walking across the bridge.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like this supernatural, or like even like super in this supernatural world. He's a little bit out of it and beyond it, kind of thing.
And then, so in the scene where he starts giving gold to people, he's giving gold to the frog, right? And just like, he's like, oh, you want a little gold? You want a little more? Oh, do you want like a ton of gold? And then it seems like anybody that will just like take his offer of like greediness, he just eats them.
Yeah.
Right. He's just like, you like consuming goods? I will consume you.
Yeah, No Face is this really great literal symbol in the movie of greed and excess, where if you like get too close, like then you get burned.
And he's insatiable. Like he wants to eat everything, and he has unlimited gold and things like that.
And it's interesting though, I guess he's kind of like a foil to Chihiro's character, because she's like young and pure and not into any of this yet, where she keeps like rejecting him and he like can't figure out why.
Yeah, he's like, why won't you be greedy? And she's just like, no, I have to help my friends. He keeps being like, oh, but I could help you have gold.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I need to help my friends.
Yeah, so I guess that happens where he starts going on a rampage and still demands that Chihiro goes. Oh, but then that like crazy Haku scene happens where he gets attacked as a dragon by all those paper birds.
Yeah, so Chihiro's not really hanging out with No Face at that point. Like everyone else is up and trying to serve him to get like gold tips, but she's back sleeping, I guess. And then she kind of like wakes up again and sees out the window Haku in his dragon form, running away from all these like what look like birds, but then she soon finds out are just these like paper, bird-like things, but they're just made out of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like beat to shit and bleeding everywhere, and she manages to get him back into the bathhouse, but he's bleeding everywhere. Like, how much blood? Like, it was way more blood than I was expecting in this movie. Like, it's just...
he was like internally bleeding out.
And it's like coming out of his body too, though. Like, there's blood all over the walls, and like when he bursts out of the window, there's just blood like dripping off the railing and things like that. It was quite excessive.
It's super intense.
Yeah. I thought it was really funny. Like, you don't know, you're not aware that he has the ability to turn into a dragon until after the scene where he takes her to see her pig parents.
Yeah.
And they get to the bridge, and he's just like, okay, I have to go now. You go back inside. And then she just like looks up into the sky, and there's this little white squiggle. And she's like, oh, he's a dragon? And I'm like, wow. She made a huge leap on that.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like super far away.
You just know.
I'm like, wow. Way to jump to conclusions.
Quite a leap. But good thing she did, because then she recognized him as he was coming in.
I mean, she was right. Her game is on point.
She's got 20/20 vision for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got those young eyes.
I guess so. Yeah, like 30/20 vision. So Haku in dragon form is bleeding everywhere, and he jets out of Chihiro's room and heads up to Yubaba's like penthouse place. And Chihiro's like on like one of the bottom floors, and she's like, "Oh no, Haku needs my help," and so she has to like find her way up to the penthouse, and that's kind of like an adventure too. And then like one of the little paper birds attaches itself to the back of Chihiro, unbeknownst to her.
Yeah, I always thought something really creepy was going to happen when that paper attached itself to her.
Right. Well, it kind of did.
She was in trouble.
It was a bit nefarious, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, that was how Zeniba... We later find out that the little paper birds are like some sort of projection of Zeniba.
Mm-hmm.
The good twin.
Yeah,
good twin.
Strangely enough,
he's like pretty evil, who like kills Haku in the first scene, but turns out to be really nice.
But that's the weird thing, though. It's like the little paper birds.
I don't think she was trying to kill him. I think she was just trying to get her seal back, but because he ate the seal, which had like a death curse on it. That was like his bad.
Oh, maybe that's it. It was the curse that got him, not the paper birds. Because the paper bird, like Chihiro got wrecked by those little pieces of paper. Like, she was trying to close the door after Haku like flew inside, but she only got like halfway closed, and then she just gets like completely
plastered.
Yeah, blasted with all these little paper birds, and she's like, "Whoa, weren't those like birds destroying that dragon 2 seconds ago?" But she was fine with it, and in fact, like she like shredded some of those birds, some of those little pieces of paper.
I wondered if like that crossed my mind, that it was maybe just like the fact that she is still kind of a real person, that they like didn't have much of an effect on her, because she's still like a human, and like no one else really is, and she still has a chance to go back to the human world. I wondered if that was like some arbitrary explanation as to why she didn't get shredded by those.
Yeah, maybe, or that they like recognized that she was pure of heart. They're like, we can't shred her.
Yeah.
Or also just because like Zeniba's not an evil person, so she just wouldn't like shred her up.
Yeah, for sure. So what I think is really like dark about this side story too is that Haku is like this like brainwashed in servitude to Yubaba, because he basically ended up with her in this search for magic and power, and so now he has to do all of her dirty work, like steal Zeniba's seal, and then he like, that's why he goes to the penthouse, is to report to her and like give her the seal. And when Chihiro finally gets there, you just like see her say that she's like, I'm done with him, like just dump him, he's dead.
Yeah, she's so dismissive of Haku. She's like, Haku's almost dead, just dump him down the garbage chute.
Yeah,
which is pretty sad. So yeah, she eventually, I guess, Chihiro makes it up to the penthouse, overhears Yubaba being like, Haku is useless now, but at least he got that thing. And Chihiro like made her way in through the nursery.
Mm-hmm.
And then Yubaba's about to come into the nursery, and that's when Chihiro kind of runs into the monster baby who's sleeping in the pillows.
Yeah, I like that this baby, like everything is just opposite in this world, right? Like babies are monstrously huge.
Yeah, I didn't know what to think of this baby. He's just this huge, violent baby.
Yeah, bigger than a door. Can
Like,
speak.
what is he? Like, he's like a. What is he a baby of?
Yeah.
We wonder.
He's like 5 times
like,
the size of Yubaba.
Yeah, is Yubaba his mom? Is he his grandma?
Yeah, she seems old to have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows in this world?
We'll never know.
We will never know.
Although I think Zeniba says, like, because when baby sees Zeniba, he's like, Mom? She's like, you idiot.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so... And it's like, yeah, the baby has been sheltered its whole life. It's spent its whole life in this padded nursery room, afraid of germs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Chihiro escapes from the baby. The baby's like, you must play with me. And Chihiro's like, no, I have to do something else. And she's like, I'll kill you if you don't play with me. And then Chihiro like shows him the bloody hand of Haku's blood that she has. And the baby freaks out and lets her go.
Mm-hmm.
And she runs into the other room. And then all the little minions, Yubaba's little minions, are trying to push Haku the dragon down the garbage chute. When all of a sudden, Zeniba transforms from the little paper bird that was clinging to Chihiro's back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was good. She wreaked some havoc. So baby emerges from the room, and then Zeniba transforms him into this tiny little hamster and takes that weird bird miniature of Yubaba. Did you guys see how weird that bird was?
Yeah, it had like a head that was Yubaba's
It had like a
head.
human head.
Yeah.
It has like Yubaba's head, but it's just a bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Zeniba also
And then Yubaba has the ability to like
turn into
grow,
a bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grow wings, kind of out of her like little cloak.
And when Yubaba...
That was really cool. I thought how Yubaba just like wraps her cloak around her arms and then suddenly is a bird.
Right, and then that like huge nose that she has is like, oh, I get it. It's like a beak because she's a huge ass bird.
Right. But also her Bono sunglasses when she's a huge ass bird.
Yeah, I don't know. Paul, did you see those?
She's flying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. She's wearing Bono sunglasses.
She's a rock star.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so Zeniba transforms baby into hamster, weird bird into a fruit fly, and then to make sure that Yubaba doesn't notice that baby's missing, turns those 3 roly heads into a baby.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed this, like the first action that the heads did when it got into like a full body form finally was to like slowly chase the hamster now like the baby now hamster and the the bird now fly, like he tried to smush them.
Right. I think,
With his hand.
I think that those heads were super pumped about this changing of fortunes, and we're just like, we need to make this a permanent thing, and we're trying to kill. It was like
There
Face Off.
cannot be 2.
Yeah, it was like Face Off, where
Yeah.
Nick Cage changes into John Travolta, and then they realize that, or John Travolta, the criminal, realizes that if he takes Nick Cage's face and kills everyone who knows that Nick Cage changed into John Travolta, he will become Nick Cage, and it'll be great. And so it was basically a face-off moment for
It was good.
the Rolly Heads.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the roller heads were pretty cool.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they knew.
And I guess they just really wanted it.
They wanted that life. They wanted to just hang out in the nursery all day and munch on those candies.
Oh yeah, they're down. And then luckily, I guess they escaped from that because they all just like fell down the garbage chute.
Right, which is an unlikely escape.
Yeah.
That was a bold.
That was lucky.
And the hamster and the fruit fly too. They finally make it.
They're like, we're good with this decision too.
Yeah, I guess the fruit fly is superhuman or super fruit fly and can hold up a hamster too, so that's nice. Um,
I actually thought she was a tiny bird, not a fruit fly, but I guess I just misunderstood.
oh, well,
Yeah, it might be a tiny
it
bird.
could be. That would make a little bit more sense, actually. Yeah. So they end up down in the boiler room with Kumaji, and Chihiro force feeds Haku that little brown mystery medicine, and Haku, changes back into his human form. But before that, he spits out the little gross slug thing and the gold seal
Yeah.
that he had stolen from Zeniba.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and the gross slug thing, I guess, gets smushed by Chihiro. She smushes it.
Right. Which we later find out.
You don't know what it is at that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But we later find out that's like the physical form of the spell that Yubaba has over Haku. So it didn't even have anything to do with Zeniba.
Which controls him.
Yeah. And the only thing that could destroy that spell was true love.
Yeah, I know, eh?
So that's good.
Love for Haku, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's the scene where Chihiro decides that she's gonna go find Zeniba, Yubaba's twin sister,
Twin sister, yeah.
Obama.
the other witch. Obama's. Fuck Obama.
Thanks, Obama.
It's definitely his fault.
Yeah.
Thanks, Obama.
This makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she has to like go save Haku's life now. Because we're also, does this make sense? She's like kind of saved him, but then she like gets it into her head that she like has to now still return the seal.
Yeah. I don't know.
Isn't that the point? She's returning the seal because she thinks that
Haku's
Zeniba
still-
will release the spell that's hurting Haku.
Because she like thinks that he's still like in death throes.
I guess so.
Yeah, she thinks
Oh
that
right,
there's
like
still
she
a
doesn't
spell
know that
that's
she
gonna
broke the
kill.
spell. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kumaji.
So she's like, so she explains to Kamaji, yeah, she's like, hey, like, do you think Zeniba would help if I apologize for Haku? And Kamaji's like, yeah, maybe, you could try.
Yeah, it couldn't hurt. And then he digs around in his desk for like ancient train tickets. And has like 4 of them, and he's just like, they're only
Yeah.
one way though. And then
Uh-huh.
And she's just like, I don't care, I'll just walk back.
yeah.
That makes sense. It's like she may be taking this like 6-hour train somewhere. And she's like, I
Yeah.
can walk back, right? This is good 10-year-old logic.
She's like, I have no idea how far I'm going, but I'll just walk back
Yeah.
on the train tracks because that's the only place that's not underwater.
Yeah. But it is underwater. It's like 1 foot underwater still.
Oh my god, yeah.
So she would likely still get hit by a train, even if she's not drowning.
Yeah, she didn't think it through.
Yeah,
Luckily, it doesn't come to that.
right. Yeah, but
Yeah.
before she can even save poor Haku, who she thinks is like on the brink of death, she has to go deal with No Face,
Right.
Oh, right.
What?
who has,
What
Because
did
No
Right.
Face is terrorizing the bathhouse.
yeah.
And I guess he's just like, I want to see Sen. And they're like, okay, fine.
They think
So they're
maybe
like, Sen, come
Sen.
save us.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
Like, all eyes are looking at Sen to save them from No Face at that point.
or even just like get more gold out of them. Like I think it's just that he stopped giving them tips and was just like, I'm only gonna tip Sen now.
yeah.
And so they were like, okay,
Right.
we'll go get
And he
Sen.
kind of like trashed the place too.
Well, yeah, he ate like all their food.
Yeah.
Has become enormous. And then Sen kind of goes in, and she's like on a mission to go get on the train, so she has no time for this shit.
Yeah, it's just like the same old story. He's like, take all this gold. And she's like, no, I have to go help my friend.
Again, showing her, like,
Her purity, I guess.
nice qualities.
hmm
Yeah.
And that really pisses No Face off. And so I guess
Yeah.
he like just eats a couple people, and everyone's like, whoa, not cool.
Not cool. Yeah, so he gets super mad at her and he's like, okay, I'm gonna eat you then. And she's like, okay, but before you eat me, eat the rest of this medicine.
Right. The magical
Which No
medicine.
Face is just like down for.
Mm.
He's like, yeah, okay.
Well, I think she just like throws it in his mouth. Like he has
His
no
like
choice.
gaping mouth.
Yeah. Which is weirdly like his mask has a mouth on it, but his like eating
Yeah, that
mouth
is really confusing.
is on his neck.
Well, it's because he has no face, right? Like he doesn't.
Yeah.
There's no face under that mask, right?
Right. The mask is just
It's just.
it's just so that people don't freak out.
Although there was like, I guess I didn't understand. There was a lot of other like dark, shadowy spirits that didn't have a face that were just like in the background in a lot of scenes, like turning on the lights and off the lights in like the village part
In the town.
outside of the bathhouse.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
were they?
I don't know. They were just like apparitions.
They were a lot like Nopids. They were similar.
I think
looking
they were
to
just
Nopids.
too unimportant to have full forms. They're
Yeah.
just like, these are just like, background characters, whatever.
Or somehow like they're part of this world, but they don't have a job at the bathhouse, so maybe
Yeah.
they're less of a form. I don't know.
I wonder, if they're just like in between worlds too. Like, do the people in the village actually interact with the bathhouse?
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like it. Although they seem to kind of have this same clientele.
Yeah, because if you notice, like later when she takes the train, this is skipping ahead, they're like riding with what look like people on the train, but like they also don't have faces. So Chihiro throws this medicine into No Face's mouth, and he just what then becomes like the grossest sequence in the film, where he just throws up everything while he like madly chases after her.
Yeah, he's
just like, what have you done to me? Because that medicine that she gave him is making him sick.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
We're making him better, I guess.
Or curing him, yeah, from his like greedy ways.
Yeah, I guess so. So he's thrown up everywhere, and he's getting smaller too. Like all the weight he's gained, he's gotten bigger every meal he's eaten and every person he's eaten. And now, as he's throwing it up, he's getting smaller. And so they're running through the bathhouse, and they eventually make it. He's thrown up everywhere and getting smaller. And this is where Yubaba gives him. She's just like, I'm tired of this shit, and she like charges up a Kamehameha and like hits him right in the face, but it just causes him to.
Dragon Ball Z style.
Yeah, he just ends up puking more.
Projectile vomiting onto her.
Yeah, so that was a huge mistake. And eventually Chihiro makes it down to the bottom where Lin is waiting in a little paddle boat to paddle her over to the train station.
This
And
paddle washed head.
at that point, No Face has vomited as much as he can, and he's back to his like very thin self with no voice. And he's also upchucked all those people that he ate too. So they're fine. They're just like, wow, that really was gross, but I'm okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Guys, I'm gonna send you my favorite GIF from the movie.
All right.
This is when they're trying to get to the train station, the train platform, and No Face is just following Chihiro now, and he like seems pretty much back to normal.
I'm loading
That's
it.
pretty funny.
Yeah, I love this one. Where it was just like, oh no, this train's coming, and everyone's just like, and she just yells, she's just like, hurry up, the train's here.
Yeah,
and
and he's
No
just
Face is
getting
like, I'm
owned.
trying.
He has no
He's just
voice
so
at that
helpless
point.
now. Like, yeah, I love how he becomes this like helpless kind of just like follower after that. He's just like, yeah, I'll go ahead with you, and he can't talk anymore. He can just like grunt, right?
Yeah,
His
he's
little,
Yeah.
just like kind of like a helpful little guy, but
Yeah, and he ends up
Yeah.
once they finally make it to Zeniba's, he's like helping them sew and stuff. He really turned a new leaf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just need to get out of that bathhouse.
Mm. Yeah, it was a bad
Away
place
from
for
all those people.
all that
Yes.
corruption.
Yeah, because really, No Face is just like a reflection of everyone in the bathhouse and their super capitalist, corrupt ways.
Yeah, I think he is kind of just trying to fit in, I guess. But yeah, that train ride is great. I love
Yeah.
That was a really good interlude.
how barren the scenery is. It's just flat. There's islands of.
This is like a real train, though, maybe. It's like almost a train between worlds where there's them and then maybe real people on this train.
Yeah, or it's a train that only sees, traditional Japan.
Yeah.
kind of thing, and the sea has flooded, like the sea of capitalism has flooded the rest of Japan, kind of thing, maybe.
Right.
I don't know, but although like everyone on it is like from the 20s or something, like everyone's dressed.
Yeah, it's weird. It kind of looks like everyone is from a different era.
Yeah,
It's strange.
they're all wearing like hats, like bowlers or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever kind of hats that people wore back then, and like suits and briefcases.
Yeah,
They look like they're commuting in like the 1930s or something.
Yeah. Their suitcases are very old timey. It's like the carpet bag suitcase and stuff.
I've still got that GIF running. I gotta turn it off.
It's just so good, right? There's another GIF of that where it's just like feels.
Yeah. So they make it to the end of the line, essentially. Or actually, it's not the end of the line.
I think it's like Swamp Bottom or something.
Right, yeah, it has a weird name like that.
Yeah.
Swamp Bottom. And it took all night. Like, they got there in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And it's just like this one dirt road that leads up to Zeniba's ranch. And as they're walking up the road, this helpful little personified lamp has a little leg that hops along beside them and leads the way to Zeniba's place.
Very cute. Was that like a reference to something else?
I don't know. It reminded me of like Beauty and the Beast and those people.
Isn't there like a single foot creature in Alice in Wonderland like that? That like guides her? Or maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I wonder, like the dodo or something? Or not the dodo. Or maybe the dodo. Well, I guess the dodo has more than 1 foot, but...
Yeah.
And the
I thought that was really cool. Like, I mean, it could have been like a humanoid character holding a lamp and just like not talking, but instead it's just like a lamp hopping around and just like, follow me, and it just like hops through the forest and they follow it to that little house, to Zeniba's house. Oh, it was really cool. It's just like, why not the lamp just be the character?
Yeah. Not really, really unthreatening, for sure. It's just like, I am here. My sole purpose, as you can tell, is to light the way for you.
Yeah.
I like how as they were leaving too, as they were flying away from Zeniba's place, it was
waving.
Like, Zeniba was waving and No Face was waving, and then the little lamp was waving as well, with its like one appendage.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
That's cute.
It's also really like cost saving for Zeniba because she only has to buy one lamp. She doesn't have to light her whole path. She just like has the one lamp that's under a spell that just like guides people in.
Oh man, very
really
smart,
nice.
Very smart.
Super
Zeniba.
friendly.
She saved money on all those extra lamps.
That's right. She had quite a house. Like her house was huge.
Oh my God,
it was like it was one room, but it was
beautiful.
like 30 feet tall and like 60 feet wide or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you guys feel about this? This was so interesting that the movie is, and a lot of the settings like the bathhouse and the things are very clearly Japanese, but Yubaba's quarters and then Zeniba's house is very like European.
Zeniba's house would have been like ancient European, like medieval European.
No, but that's like what Yubaba's stylings are like too, right? Like it's that very opulent like decor.
Yeah.
I guess that's
yeah,
true.
like her dress. Yeah, it's got like a big bow on the back, and it's very like puffy and
right.
dressed like royalty, sort of.
Yeah, and her, and of course her or Yubaba's penthouse is like a palace from like the 1700s or something.
Yeah.
In France.
Yeah. And then I guess her good twin sister Zeniba has this just like humble, but like pretty European looking lodge.
Zeniba and Yubaba look exactly the same, right? Like they don't.
Oh
have
yeah,
any
they're identical.
Yeah.
Except does Zeniba have glasses, and Yubaba doesn't?
No, I think they're like reading glasses, so they both occasionally wear them.
Okay. So what happens next?
Yeah, luckily Zeniba just turns out to be the sweetest old granny. They, have some cake and tea and sew some stuff. Get some stuff while...
I was like, is this bitch playing? Like, is she just like... she's trying to fuck with them?
Yeah, it's a trick.
Yeah.
But it's not a trick. So they knit her or spin her, I guess, a
friendship hairband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very tough. Yeah.
And like the friendship will keep her safe or something.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so.
Yeah.
And then Haku
Yeah.
shows up. Oh, well, I guess Chihiro returns the gold seal. And Zeniba's very happy about
Yeah, and that's where we find out that the slug was the spell
Mm-hmm.
that Zeniba explains the spell that Yubaba put on Haku to have control over him.
that. Speak of the devil, Haku shows up moments later
In dragon form.
in dragon form.
Dragon form. Haku's alive.
His dragon form is really badass too.
Mm.
Like, I don't know why he ever goes into Haku form.
Yeah.
Could you imagine this like dragon trying to like operate in the bathhouse?
Yeah, it'd be a little awkward, I
Yeah,
guess.
he
Just
really,
like at mealtime, just trying to fit at the table.
and like the
Yeah, he's
one
really
time
long.
he was a dragon within the bathhouse, he just like wrecks
He
everything.
wrecked it. He was like huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he shows up, and then Chihiro and Haku and the mouse and fruit fly / little bird start to fly back with her, newfound confidence and hairband.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And-
got that new look.
Got that new look and more importantly, that confidence. And on the way back, Chihiro has a flashback to when she was very young, and she's remembering falling into a river after trying to go after her shoe that she dropped into the river, and she was worried that she was going to drown, but then the river spirit
Carries her to the shore.
carries her to shore, and she remembers that river is called Kohaku.
The Kohaku River. Which I think is kind of a great reveal, because it's just like Haku couldn't remember like the first syllable of his name.
Yeah. He's like, I know it's something, but I just can't get it.
Yeah. By the way, call me Haku.
He's like, I know it's not Haku.
I know, right? It ends up just being really close to the name he has now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. Which was kind of a crazy time to tell him, because it turns out remembering your name transforms Haku back into his
Breaks.
human form, but they're like
Yeah.
flying through the air, so they just start to plummet towards the earth, and it's just like,
Nobody's
wow,
worried.
I remember you now, and they're like, you did it, Chihiro. Now we can be best of
Yeah.
friends.
They're like,
then-
we're so happy now, and they're just like falling,
Yeah, and then the movie just ends with them just like dead.
Splat.
splattering. Yeah, it was gross. A lot of blood.
Yeah, you thought the blood earlier was a lot.
Mhm.
But no, that doesn't seem to stop them. They just start flying. Not even in dragon form this time.
Now they're just doing the Superman.
Yeah.
It's great.
Back to the bathhouse, where they find
Yubaba.
Yubaba.
Mm.
Yeah, so apparently Haku has struck up this deal with Yubaba, with his newfound freedom, before he goes and gets Chihiro, and he's just like, you gotta let this girl's pig parents go. Oh, and he uses the fact that that baby's missing actually as leverage to do this, so he leverages a lot of things to get Yubaba to do this for Chihiro too.
Right.
Yeah, so Yubaba's waiting with like 8 pigs lined up, standing on the bridge, and I guess there's like a crowd of all the bathhouse staff kind of waiting, and they seem to be kind of on Chihiro's side, like more cheering her on than wanting
yeah.
to see Yubaba win.
Yeah. I mean, nobody likes their boss.
That's true.
You know, she's a pretty horrible boss.
I guess so. Although she guarantees employment, which is something.
Right, if you ask for it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Although
all
she
I have to do is ask.
She does have the power to zip your mouth shut, which is kind of
Yeah.
scary.
Oh my god, yeah, that was terrifying, actually. Could you imagine if you were that age and someone had magically sewn your mouth shut?
Or to freak out.
Yeah, or kill you, or turn you into a pig. Like at one point,
Yeah.
they're just like, "Don't let Yubaba find out. She might turn you into a pig."
No
So
worries.
she's like the worst boss ever.
Mm.
Yeah.
She'll give you a job, but
Yeah, is it worth it? Who
Yeah.
knows? So she's got the one last test, and everyone's like really pissed off. They're like, "Come on, just let her go." And Yubaba's like, "No, this is the deal I made," and they're giving her shit for it. And she's like, "Ah."
And Baby's on her side too, which is like this great. Baby has a nested coming of age story in this story. He just doesn't suck anymore, I guess. He also grows up a little bit.
Yeah.
And he prefers being in hamster form.
Yeah, I wonder if he can switch back and forth now.
Right, yeah, because Zeniba reveals that the bird and the hamster, who are Baby and the bird, the spell has worn off and they can change back whenever they want to, and they just have chosen not to.
Mm-hmm.
So Baby learns to walk in that time, and that's what, like, Yubaba's like, "Whoa, when did you learn to walk?" And he's just like, "Chihiro's my friend now. You should let her go." And then Yubaba is just a shitty person and wants to test her anyway.
Yeah.
But Chihiro goes along
Although at
with
this
it.
point, she's almost like, she's still pretty evil, but she's almost like playfully testing at this point, I feel like.
Where she's just like, yeah, this magical contract has rules.
Yeah, she's like, I still want to do the test. Come on, guys.
Yeah,
Let's just do the test.
yeah. And Chihiro's game, she's like, "All right, let's do it."
With her
Yeah.
newfound confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the test is that she has to pick out her mother and father from the pig group. And yeah, there's like 8 pigs or something, and she goes up to them and she takes a real close look, and then she's just like, "Oh man, there must be some mistake, because my mom and dad aren't here."
Plot twist.
Plot twist. And it turns out that's the right answer, and the contract disintegrates, and they're allowed to leave. So she says goodbye to all her friends, her new friends now, and everyone's like real proud of her. And she's saying goodbye to Haku, and Haku's like, "Okay, now you can go with your parents. There's only one condition though, you have to not look back."
Yeah, she has this real
Yeah.
Hades and Persephone moment.
Mm.
You guys know this Greek myth?
I
You
know.
should explain it.
Yeah, go for it.
There's, I don't even really remember this. It's like Hades kidnaps Persephone, which is one of the daughters of Zeus, I guess, or Hera. Or I guess maybe he doesn't even kidnap her. She like just happens to wander down into the underworld, and by accident she eats one thing from the world, which means she's trapped there, very much like this story.
Ah,
And then just through some series of events, I don't even really remember, she ends up befriending Hades and falling in love with Hades, I guess. But then Zeus realizes that one of his kids is down there and gets super mad about it, and she has to leave. And I think Hades is just like, okay, you can leave, and maybe there's some stipulation that like she can come back maybe, or like something will be okay, as long as she doesn't look back when she leaves. Oh no, the test is that she can leave, and she can leave safely as long as she doesn't look back, basically.
right.
So Persephone makes it mostly out of the underworld until like she forgets right before she steps out, and then looks back, and then she like becomes like, I don't know, a tree because she does that. And that's the ending of that story.
Lesson learned. So
Yeah.
That's great.
clearly Chihiro has heard that story, and she did not make the same mistake.
Yeah, she was like, whoa.
Although she almost does. Like, as they're on the threshold, she's met up with her parents.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much like this myth, actually.
She's thinking about looking back, you can tell, and then she doesn't
Yeah.
do it.
Hmm.
It's so hard to not look back when you say goodbye, right?
Yeah, true love.
It's true.
Ah.
Love.
She loves that river.
Yeah.
Which I guess is a like interesting thing. Is Haku like a river spirit? At the start of the movie, you get the idea that he might be human. He's like, oh, I just don't remember my real name, so I can't like go back. But you're not really sure if he means like get out of here and like not work for Yubaba anymore, or like go back to being a human, or what.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a river god, as we find
Yeah,
out, as
sure.
the Kohaku River.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's also
You
pretty
do
neat that
wonder.
at the start of the movie he says like, oh, I've been watching you for quite some time. Like I know who you are.
Yeah, it's true.
So I guess like he kind of sort of remembered saving her maybe, but still couldn't remember his real name.
Yeah, I think they do address that a little bit in the movie. There's like a one-liner in there where he's just like, for some reason I know your name, even though I can't remember mine.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. So
Yeah.
they make it out.
Oh, this is a great end scene too, though. It like really
Yeah.
does come full circle because you know that scene where she's walking through the tunnel and she's like this big fraidy cat. They like exactly mirror that scene right on the way out. But now she's like a total grown up and she's like still clinging to her mom, but like not because she's scared anymore. It's because like she hasn't seen her in a really long time.
Right.
And she's like just really apprehensive because like she just left all these great friends that she just made, but like not because she's actually scared about starting this new life.
Yeah, so they make their way out of the tunnel, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the next scene, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they find that there's been a lot of like growth in the forest where they parked their car.
Yeah, like time has passed.
I think she says, or what is it like? I think the last like couple lines of the movie are, they're just like, "Did you hear how you're worried about school or whatever?" And she's just like, "No,
I can handle it.
I can handle it."
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Of course she can.
She's ready. She just did all this shit.
Yeah. She just like saved the bathhouse world.
Got it.
Saved her parents' lives.
Yeah.
From a gruesome fate.
Yeah, that's actually like that had real
pigs.
consequences.
Yeah, they were gonna get hammed.
The
They were gonna turn into hamfish.
hamfish. Man, I'm hungry for hamfish.
Yeah.
Man, I could use a hamfish right about now.
All that stuff. I wish I just had a huge bowl of those little barbecue chickens that they were munching on. Those looked amazing.
Yeah, those look pretty good. Like little tiny chickens
Mm.
that are like full of meat. They're like boneless.
Yeah, he just like took one and ate half of it. Just took a huge bite out of it. God.
KFC should come up with that. Like little chickens that look like chickens and are all deep fried, but there's no bone.
That'd be amazing.
Like a
that would
reassembled chicken
revolutionize.
after they
You
took
just
out all
like-
the bones out
Yeah,
and then deep fried it.
reassembled chicken.
Oh god, that'd be so good.
Its head cut off, and then you just like munch around it, and there's like no bones, and it's like, oh man,
Wow, that's what I want right now.
but like bacon. That's up there.
Well, you have a winning idea here.
That was probably their original idea for the double down. They're like, wait, that's too weird. Let's just make it 2 pieces of chicken with.
Make it look like a sandwich at least.
Yeah, they're like, it's too hard to get the rest of the chicken back together, so we're just gonna take these 2 pieces and put stuff between them.
They fired the guy who came up with the idea, who was just like, yeah, it's just a whole chicken, but we took the bones out and fried it.
They're like, what are you talking
uh,
about? The American people are not ready for this.
Yeah, maybe in 2012.
Although I feel like Japanese people are probably ready for it.
Oh, God, I bet they have this already, really.
All that
They
food.
have so many weird things and so many good innovations, too.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what was this theory that we've been hearing so much about, Paul?
Yeah, Paul?
I want to hear about it.
So, I guess I was thinking about it as we were talking too, and I kind of described it as a metaphor, and then I realized it's not really a metaphor, it's really just like the whole point of the movie. But I think it goes like deeper and probably can be perceived as like actually more applicable to real life than the way it's kind of
Okay.
like it's not breezed through very transparently in the movie. So just like the whole idea, starting with like eating the food and like she's like she has to eat the food in order to become like permanent in this world, or else she'll die. She can't stay in the spirit world. And then like moving on to, so she eats the food, she like gets the job, she has to like keep the job in order to stay in the new world, or else she'll also be like killed or banished or turned into something else. And then like on the train ride, when she's seeing all these like faceless people that are just like, I don't know, seemingly like not paying any attention to her, and they're just like black shadows of people. She's just like on this commute to go see Zeniba. And the feeling I got from this whole thing was just that like it's pretty much how it is if you like move to any new place, you kind of have to like find a way to fit in this new place. Like if one of us were to like suddenly pick up and move to a whole different country or a different city, in order to adapt, you're gonna have to like eat the food, and you're gonna have to like get the job that you might not want just to like survive and you're gonna have to like sit on a train with thousands of faceless people that you don't know and will never know and will never develop any relationship with. And it's just like you might have to pull the thorn of the stink monster. I mean, that's kind of the whole start of the plot of the movie, is that they're like moving into this new city.
Yeah, that's amazing.
She's apprehensive about moving to this new city. She's like, oh, I don't like the school, and like this city seems really lame compared to our old city.
Yeah.
And yeah, but like, I mean, I guess it's really not a metaphor at all. It's just like seems like the kind of whole point to the whole movie. It's like things are going to seem strange anytime you move somewhere, and you've just got to like suck it up and find a way to like adhere to the new rules of like this new foreign place that you're now finding yourself in. Just like embrace the culture.
Yeah.
Right?
And then like she really like she was dealing with, you know, absolute worst case scenario as far as that goes, and she came out pretty good.
Yeah, that she ended up in a really weird world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like she really does find a capacity to embrace the culture and to like care for the people in this new world that like seem so different than her.
Yeah. And at the same time, like as she's adapting to this too, she's still holding on to the things that she finds most important too. Like she's very
family.
Yeah, she took a page out of Vin Diesel's book.
Yeah, that's serious.
She really did, didn't she?
Family.
Yeah.
She's like, we're family now, Paul Walker.
So good. Yeah, that's a
really
great parallel.
Point.
If this is the dry run, she killed it.
She killed it.
So you're saying this is like a prelude for Fast and the Furious?
Yeah, this is like Tokyo Drift
God. Yeah, this is for sure.
The big reveal at the end is Haku is just like Vin Diesel, and he's like, "Oh, we're family now."
Family.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Family.
This is like Vin Diesel's origin. Yeah, this is Dom Toretto's origin story.
Started out in somewhere in Japan and realized the family was really important.
But I mean, it is like, it is a really good point. Like, it can be hard if you're in a new place to like find a way to like care for people that you don't care about. That you're just like, oh, I've moved to this new place. I know no one. It's going to take a while before you like start to care about anybody.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Dara, did you find any reviews that you wanted to read?
I didn't,
Okay.
They were really upsetting to read, actually. Everyone just got real down on this movie if they didn't like it. The common thread of why people didn't like this, I found, though, really kind of just sourced back to the idea that a lot of people went in with this notion that if it's anime, that means it's a cartoon, which means it's a kids movie. So they would try to show it to, like, they're very young kids, and then just be like shocked when they hated it and were really upset by it.
Right. Yeah, we were gonna do like how Did This Get Made does the 5-star reviews, except this movie's like actually a really popular movie, so we're gonna do 1-star reviews that were funny, but they're all just sad.
Yeah, they weren't that good.
Well, I mean, if you are showing it to like an infant, I don't know. Visually it's great for an infant, except for all the blood.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
also just like having your
it could be
parents
pretty scary
turn
too.
into pigs. Yeah, that'd be terrifying as a really young kid.
There's scary looking characters. There's like heads rolling around, and
Mm-hmm.
No Face is pretty creepy at some points.
Oh yeah,
That's true.
everyone's so
He's
mean
kind of
to
like-
Chihiro.
I feel like someone should do like a GIF or a meme or something, one of those internet things that has like No Face and just like the Sting, the Police song, like "I'll be watching you," and just him, just like clips of him, just like watching her.
That's great. No, yeah, that would be such a good montage.
I don't like it.
I love it.
Alright guys, that was a good movie. I enjoyed
Great.
watching it for like the 10th time or whatever it's been.
It's really your 10th time. Wow.
I've seen it quite a few times. I think the first time I saw it was like 2011 or something.
Okay.
and I've seen it many times since then. It's just like I just like the art in it, and yeah, there's tons of like dream logic stuff that I really enjoy. So I've gone back.
So
to it.
how many times have you two watched it together?
Maybe like 3 or 4.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow, that's impressive.
We actually, what got me thinking about it again is we got it out and watched it like a couple weeks ago. And then I was just like, this is a great movie. And then I told you about it, and I was just like, we should watch this and then talk about it because I like it so much.
Yeah, I'm really glad. It's the kind of like genre that I don't turn to very often. So
Right.
I mean, there's great material like in this genre. Like there's really compelling stuff. So it's pretty cool to explore.
Yeah. There's some. I'll send you a link to another one that Miyazaki did that I really liked. That's about more of a or less of a kids movie. Like as much
Yeah,
as
it's
we
very
talked-
historical and political, that movie.
Yeah, so he did a movie that talks about this sort of like Japanese engineer who designed airplanes at like the first half of the 20th century kind of thing. And it's like quite a it's like also a story about, you know, traditional Japan versus modern Japan, and he kind of struggles with that, but he's like a hero and he designs great airplanes, but there's also his airplanes are being like used to fight World War II in these kind of like questionable moral scenarios. But anyway, it's also a good movie, a little bit less of a kid's movie than this one.
Yeah.
What's that one called?
Oh.
The Wind
The
Also
Wind
Rose?
Rises. The Wind Rises.
The Wind Rises, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, and that one's pretty fun too, because Joseph Gordon-Levitt does the voice.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He does
That's
the,
cool.
the English voice.
Mhm.
Oh, that's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for doing this with us, Paul. That's a fun way to spend a Saturday evening.
And thanks to our massive audience for listening.
Yeah, couldn't have done it without them.
I don't know if I'll use like how about any theme song ideas before we sign off?
Oh, we should. Yeah, I don't know, anything from this composer Joe Hisaishi is great.
Yeah, I guess that'll
It's
work.
great music.
Very on theme.
Mhm.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
All right.
Until next time.
Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.